All right, William. Apparently, we're going to do another podcast, uh, not 6 months apart from the previous one. I think we did the
Yeah,
last one in less than a month ago.
yeah, getting
We're going to
active.
do another one, and from what I've gathered, it's you wanna talk about your new squad. Well, your new player edition.
We can talk about other stuff first. If there's anything interesting on the docket.
Oh yeah. I mean, what
Yeah,
what you got anything specific you want to talk about? Because there's all kinds of shit going on in Dota nowadays.
isn't there like 19 other roster shuffles?
Yeah, yeah. There's a shit ton of them. We got, I mean, the biggest one's probably EG picking up Saberlight and them going to a different organization, Shopify.
Yeah,
That one's pretty okay. TSM. I mean, I talked about this one with Joey. It's hard to say it's not a downgrade, just because I don't think they'll have the same kind of success, which is obviously pretty extreme. I mean, going to major finals was great, even if they didn't show up at TI. That was pretty good, but definitely some unknown players there. Though I think you were preaching to me about Ari. You think that guy's really good, right?
I think that guy's the shit. I think he's going to impress quite a few people, to be honest.
All right, so
I think
give me the lowdown on him.
I just think he's really, really skilled. And he seems like he's got a good attitude. And usually when you pair those things together, you get a pretty good player in summary. I mean, I would like to think that I helped make that happen. I ran into Moon after they were knocked out, and I said he was looking for a four. I told him to pick up Ari, and what's his name was also there. What's his name? Stormstormer.
D'Amato, Ron,
And
Stormstorm.
then
Oh, okay.
then we were just chatting about him, and he also gave him like the thumbs up. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he's
Nice.
a really really sick player. I mean, I think he every conversation I have with him is pleasant, which is more than what you can say about most people. You'd be like
Mo-
surprised about that, but like it does kind of it would surprise you at how many people are unpleasant to talk to even when they're trying to sell themselves to you.
yeah, well,
So yeah.
that's. I mean, I feel even more so for Dota players just because they're probably not used to being nice to people, selling
Yeah,
themselves,
I mean,
lots of things.
no, but yeah, there's a lot of people that could stand to learn a little bit of, let's say, social grace is the nice way to put it.
Mm, mm.
And you know, that's kind of how it goes.
And in a team environment, that is important. Yeah,
Of
like you have
course.
to be able to get along with people. What?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, you were telling me that this guy is this the same person? You were telling me this guy was like 5K not so long ago or something like
I
this.
mean, I think he just started playing Dota somewhat recently, and he was like a really good Heroes of the Storm player, which, if you're a really good Heroes of the
Oh.
Storm player, no offense, but like that doesn't count as a MOBA. Like you don't count. So
uh,
it's
so that's
just
like saying back in elementary school, I was the fastest kid in my class.
yeah, it's kind of just like, come on, man. All respect to everybody that plays HOTS, but like I can't imagine the the similarities between that and Dota are extreme enough to warrant like that game being on the same level. It's like it feels like a completely different game. I mean, I could just be talking out my ass. Who the fuck knows? But that
But
would be my
he
gut
was
feel.
he was a competitive person and he managed to transition into Dota and apparently he's gotten very good very quickly.
Yes, all things completely true. I mean, the guy has a lot of talent. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people at how good he is. So I mean, I think Moon was a great player and stuff, but maybe he just works better as a coach.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think he was probably a really good captain for many reasons, and
yeah,
I can see him being a very good coach for the same sort of thing.
yeah. And then who else is there? Um,
I mean, do you want to go region by region or
no, I mean we can just talk about like the general stuff that's
okay?
interesting.
Because
But
I don't
they
think
also got
NA
Whitemon.
is.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, he
I,
is.
I I think he's pretty good.
You
I
want
think
to
he's
know anything about Kasani? if I'm
No,
saying his
I've
name
never heard of
correctly.
that. I've never heard of that motherfucker in my entire life.
Okay.
I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he's good. And I'm saying motherfucker just out of jest. Like I don't know
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
I'm sure he's talented. Moon seems like way more, how do I say, like picky about the players that he's picking up than I was, for example.
Mm.
Like I'm kind of just YOLOing it, which maybe people don't want to hear as a Liquid fan, but I'm just kind of like, oh,
I mean, did you YOLO last year's roster? I mean,
hmm.
you had one player change. I don't really,
Okay,
and
last
and to
year's
be honest,
roster,
your new player doesn't seem like a YOLO to me.
the last year's player was a bit specific because I've known Zai for like a long time now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people will believe it or not, but I think that guy just likes change. Nobody forced him to like join our team or anything like that. I think that was like um I mean, we can tie into that in a later conversation regarding Nisha, but yeah, I mean that one was a bit more specific. And the Matu one kind of, we weren't even trying to approach Matu last year, believe it or not. That one was fucking, I mean, it was kind of him asking us in a sense. Like it was, that one came out of nowhere. I was quite surprised about that one and how that all shook up together. But yeah, that one was a bit more random than
Other than
this
that,
particular
for
position.
NA, I would say, I mean, there's this new Nouns roster, which I'll be honest, I'm expecting to either do extremely well or blow up and fall apart.
I'm surprised that they didn't keep the previous thing going. Like,
Yeah,
I thought they were making a lot of like potential happen, and feels weird to like blow that up. I mean, I think Gamson's actually pretty talented. We were about to ask him to play for us during the Saudi LAN
oh,
when
okay.
Matu couldn't go. So I do think there's potential there for sure. But I think less than potential, it should always be based on like, how do I say it? Like, I think it's really important to show people that you trust them and you're willing to like see the process through at all times. Does that make sense? Like, I
Sure.
really think it's important to, even if like you might not get the best players, it's pretty important, I think, to like build a culture where no one's getting kicked at like the first sign of trouble. Not that I think that's what happened here. I'm sure they felt like they exhausted all of their options. I would imagine this move came as like something bigger, if that makes sense, but still a little bit surprising considering I think that team still had a lot of room to grow, let's say.
Success in
But
Dota doesn't equate to just having the best players, in my
yeah, and
opinion. Right?
I'm not in there either, so I've got no fucking idea. But at the same time,
Sure.
I'm gonna comment because it's just funny.
That's the that's the job of being on a podcast.
Yeah,
Bait moved over to NA. You have any feelings about that one? I mean, there was a little bit of controversy, I guess. Sammy Boy put
yeah, I
out
did the
his
same shit
thing.
when I was in Korea, so like I
You
don't
have no
know.
problem with it, I assume. I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't.
if I'm honest, I don't think they're gonna do well,
Yeah,
but
I don't think so
that
either.
is that is like an entirely different just thing in general. That has nothing to do with them. I mean, I like everybody on like I can't say I like everybody on the team. I don't know half the players. I'll be honest, I don't know 90% of the
You
people on that
you like
team.
Dendy because and because everybody loves Dendy. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's an
ever
easy
you
thing. But
ever met that guy, you instantly like him.
yeah, it's like, well,
And Moose is
I
chill.
left NA before like Stonebank. Yeah, I think Moose is cool. I mean, obviously I know the Moonlord like tangentially. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, more power to them. I think Sammy Boy, he's got gripes. They're not entirely unfounded. I would say that like 70% of it though would be for me to just tell him like get better. That's what the Koreans did, and they beat the shit out of us. So,
Yeah, I remember the last run
defend your
of
fucking
Zephyr.
region. Yeah, defend your fucking region. It's like,
Yep, yep.
have some pride. Don't just be like, oh, they're better than us. That sucks. Which obviously I'm being reductive and I'm just messing with Sammy because he fucking talks about everything. But
I guess the last one, Arkosh has
oh
a
yeah,
tie-in with
your
your
guys' is shit.
organization because we picked up Liquid or Koifa.
You didn't pick up Liquid, my friend. Let's when you
Yeah, we
said that,
picked
that
up
was a little
Liquid,
hasty,
multi-million
motherfucker.
dollar organization, Liquid.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I'll be interested to see how that goes. Like, I like everybody on there. Who else do you guys have?
So it is Koifa, Excalibur, Monkeys Forever, Z Freak, and Febby.
Oh shit. Okay. Still surprised that you guys got a lot of
Koifa.
those people. Max told me that he would only play Arkosh if he was kind of done with being a competitive pro.
Yeah, and that's what he
So
told us a year ago. And, Slacks worked on him. He
I
worked on him
see.
for a full year.
Is that what happened? You guys just kept asking him until he was like, "Ah, fuck it, why not?"
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. I mean, Max is great. I have nothing bad to say about Max. I think he's one of my favorite people in the scene. He's just always treated me really well. He's just always been a really cool guy. Like fucking no beef with Max ever.
Yeah.
He's one of the few
I,
people that I'll never like. I have nothing bad to say in any regard about.
yeah.
Truly, just a
Hopefully
fantastic
this
human being.
Arkosh roster works out.
I mean,
First
you guys
run didn't
suck
go so
ass. Like,
well.
you guys are gonna fucking fail.
I mean, there's open qualifiers. There's 16 teams in the open qualifiers, and 8 of them make it through
I
to close
see.
qualifiers. So
I hope
it's
they all. I hope they all beat the shit out of you guys. I hope nobody walks away from this with a positive experience.
good, good. I'm glad you're wishing all the best for us.
For sure, run it, run it.
What about your guys' region, Western Europe? Anything scary coming through there? I mean, Quinn's coming over. Got a little bit
Yeah,
more North America coming over.
yeah. I mean, we also had a conversation with Quinn. I don't remember who we talked about in our previous podcast. We had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, but Quinn was definitely somebody that we had had a talk with at least just to see, what was there. But I mean, now that it's all revealed, we were kind of waiting for Nisha to make a decision before we kind of pulled the trigger on anything. He was obviously like our first priority. So everyone, I mean, I think part of the reason why every single fucking person in the world knew our roster was because I was telling everybody, hey, this is the person, this is the reason why, like, you gotta wait, don't feel bad about it. It's just, we're gonna wait for Nisha. And everyone was like, oh, you're waiting for Nisha? Like, all good. There wasn't a lot
Yeah,
of like,
everybody understood. Like, oh, I'm secondary to maybe the best player in the world. All right, fair enough.
yeah, it wasn't really like a hard conversation, to be honest. It was kind
Yeah.
of just like, hey guys, we're gonna wait for Nisha. We're gonna see what's going on there. And yeah, I didn't know what level of hope I had. We obviously had some level of conversation last year. Um, but obviously it didn't lead to anything. And then this time around I didn't know if things would be different. So yeah, that one was a bit random. I guess the conversation is now swung to here, so we can discuss that before
Sure.
like
Uh,
before we,
All
continue with
right. So
anything
I
else.
I remember a year ago you wanted Nisha.
Good. Yeah, of course.
You wanted Nisha, and that way Mickey would like stay in the safe lane, right? In that
Yeah.
situation, which I assume, just to confirm, what you guys are doing this year is Mickey is going to be playing carry and Nisha mid.
I would say that for now, I would say that's accurate. Who
Okay.
knows? Like, it's not that I'm trying to be vague for being vague sake or anything like that, but I genuinely don't know the answer to that. I guess we barely talked as a team yet since everything has kind of gone off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, Mickey is obviously crazy flexible, and I mean, Disha has shown to be both a great carry from the mid lane as well as like a pretty active player when he needs to be. So
mhm.
I could see a world where you guys are able to swap things around depending on what the meta
Yeah, I
develops.
mean, honestly, a lot of it'll just come down to having talks and trying to see and understand what everybody wants to do. It's not that like I'm trying to be sketchy for being sketchy's sake or for some competitive advantage. Genuinely, we'll have a longer conversation. We'll start scrimming like next week or something like that, or maybe in a week and a half, and then we'll kind of see how it goes. It's not like things are hard locked in.
Yeah.
So pretty good players and pretty flexible team. Want to try and give these guys like every opportunity to do its best. So we'll see what happens and then kind of judge from there.
Now, obviously, you ended the last podcast with it's going to be a top season, which
Yes.
was obviously a just you trying to troll the audience a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Thompson was not your number one choice, but did you ever like? Was that ever like if Nisha did say no? Was
There was some
Thompson like
stuff that made it kind of unlikely. Not that I want to get into too much or anything like that, but it was just
okay?
it probably wasn't going to work. Truth be told, I think there was just some stuff that was hard to like overcome. I think he was most likely going to end up on the current situation that he was in, and it was going to be sort of difficult for us to maneuver around that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like the guy. I think part of the reason why like a lot of people thought originally that we were going to get him was because we had like we had a pretty public conversation, if that makes sense. Like
At
at the
TI
TI
or
after
something?
party,
Okay.
I approached him because I saw him, and obviously I wanted to have that conversation with him and say like, hey, um, what's up? And then I think a billion people saw that because it wasn't like we were necessarily hiding our conversation or anything like that. And then probably everyone kind of put two and two together because we were looking for somebody. So then, yeah, probably a billion people saw at the after party. It was really
Yeah.
not me trying to like hide anything. It was incredibly obvious what was going on.
What do you? I know you have been reading some Reddit comments. What do you
Good.
have to say about the like? There seems to be Liquid is pretty beloved, I would say, as an organization and a team,
Sure.
but I do see a little bit of pushback now. Calling the reference I keep seeing is Manchester City, which I do not know enough about European football, but I get they're the rich org that buys star players.
Yeah. So I guess I can kind of touch on that. I think that you know what the problem is? Like, no matter what I say, people will never believe me. Like, they
Sure,
just won't. And
you're a shill for
yeah, it's
Liquid.
like I could lie, why would I do that? And if I didn't want to answer it, I would just not. I just wouldn't say anything. That would be like the real quote unquote solution to my problem. If like
Hmm.
I wanted to lie to the general audience, I just wouldn't say anything, and then I would just let whatever spread. But I think it does some level of disservice to the players to always just assume that these guys are only joining because we're going to pay billions of dollars or something like that. I would say that Liquid as an org pays very well, and they definitely take good care of us. But do I think that the only reason people are joining is because of the salary reasons? No, I think it probably has more to just do with Liquid as an org and kind of what they've demonstrated in the scene so far, uh, and like how they've kind of like approached things. I would say that our pay is good, but I don't even think it's top, let's say 4 or 5 in the West.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we do pay really well, but I wouldn't say that we're out here trying to like mash people up or anything like that and being like, we're going to pay $1 billion and outbid every single human being. Like, there's
Wow.
no need to do that. I just think that the org is fundamentally super strong. They've clearly demonstrated like a commitment to the game, like a clear commitment to the game. And so I think all of these things kind of in conjunction lets people join. Like, I don't think it's a secret at all that we take really, really good care of our players. Like, I think that shouldn't come to a surprise for anybody. But
Yeah.
the assertion that like the only reason that people join is because we pay money is just kind of patently incorrect.
And
For
well, obviously
example,
there's
I
a yeah.
sorry, I like not to put anybody on blast, but we were like the only team that bothered inquiring about Nisha. So
Wait, really? Everyone
yeah,
would
we
just
were
assume
like,
like second place Team Secret would
yeah,
just be keeping the
exactly.
same.
And that
Yeah,
in
okay, that
itself is
makes
like a
sense.
competitive advantage in the sense that like if no one else is willing to try at all, then you're obviously going to be ahead of the curve because
Hmm.
everybody just assumes like if you're not willing to have those conversations, then you're not really going to get ahead. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with if somebody approached one of my players and just asked about their status, like their contract status, and just inquired, I wouldn't see anything wrong with that. I would say like there's a right and a wrong way to do things, but if you approach the guy and you're like, hey, what's the contract status, then you're more than welcome to have that conversation. If like you know we everybody's it's all done the same way, the right way and everything, no one's being coerced to leave or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's a lot of steps that people happen to skip, which maybe just comes down to the fact that people think and assume, but like part of my job too is to like find out what's going on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I think for Nietzsche, if he wanted the absolute max amount of money, if I were him anyways, I would shop as hard as I could. I mean, you're fucking Nietzsche. You know, you're gonna get any offer that you want, realistically speaking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if that was like the only motivator, if money was like the main goal here, then I feel as though, you know, he could just shop. But
The
I think,
biggest motivator for players has got to be, I think this roster has a chance to win TI, right?
yeah, I mean, it's pretty
Why do
condescending when I
you
hear, sorry?
well, why do you think he went from why do you think he left Secret in that regard? Like he came that close. Do you think it was like do you think part of it was that they got blown out in the finals? Do you think like your squad is like on the up in some ways because you guys had a rough season, but then like obviously you did very well at TI. Like what like give me some idea here about like what would make a player go from a second place team to the third place team.
I mean, I don't really know, and I don't want to speculate in the sense that like I think Secret's great. I think I really like Matt and all those guys and what they're trying to do. I do feel bad if I'm just honest, taking two of their players in like a philosophical sense. It must suck ass that we just keep fucking taking their dudes. Like,
Yeah.
feel for you guys. Not really much I can say without sounding condescending, so just leave it at that. But I mean, this guy's been a part of like the same thing for a really long time. Sometimes people just want change for change's sake. Doesn't have to like necessarily be a negative relationship or anything like that. There's people move on all the time. How long was he a part of that roster? I think it was like his only serious competitive team, right?
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much hopped from I believe if I remember correctly, he hopped from that Polish squad straight onto Team Secret.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he went team Let's Do It was the Polish squad and then they kept on getting picked up alternate attacks, Singularity, Kingwin, like they would get picked up, but it was basically kind of the same guys.
yeah, it's just I think maybe he wanted something a little bit different. And Liquid is a sick org. I mean, truly, I the main thing that I do is advertising. Is I'll just tell players like events what they do for us. They really go above and beyond, and they cover as much as they possibly can in terms of trying to make life easy for us.
Mm,
Not just financially, which we already touched on. It's not that they pay exceedingly well; they pay really well, but it's more to do with the fact that they try and keep good communication. I think a lot of orgs kind of just sign teams and are like, good luck. Do the best that you can, GL brothers. But I think Liquid really tries to make sure that they know what's going on. Victor, our CEO, will often engage in calls just about our team, just to see, where we're at. They always watch all of our games. I would say that there's a lot of fans of Liquid within, the team itself. The fact that they were willing to like make way for our boot camps at all times. I mean, the facility alone. I mean, it sounds like I'm a Liquid shill, but if you want to like point to why people consistently join us, it's like we're just one of the best European orgs. There's a lot of good European teams, but we're probably the best like facility plus micro things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that just kind
yeah.
of happen. So if
And I mean,
yeah,
I would say changes also like we've seen big roster changes before in Dota, and like a lot of times it ends up benefiting both parties. I think OG that very fractious relationship between Fly and No Tail, but at the end of the day, they may have both of those teams may have actually done much better than their original forms all
yeah,
the way
I'm
back at
sure Puppy's gonna
TI8.
beat my ass again, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say, maybe you guys are gonna have another matchup, but it'll be on the grand finals this time, and Puppy will complete the ritual and finally get his second TI, and you guys will have to watch all that
Yeah,
happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if we just got our ass beat. Like that's life. That guy's really he's smart. They'll figure it out. Like
Yeah,
and part of the reason why I like getting their players is because they're really fucking good. Like
yeah. They got a good eye for talent.
it's like I didn't even want Matu, dumbass. I kind of just like fell into my lap in some like weird way.
You know who also has a pretty good eye for talent is I assume it's Dendy. But
Oh,
that bait
really?
roster. I don't know if you ever looked at that, but that the guys who went through that bait roster, that was all like that was a step upwards for many of them. They
Oh,
ended up
sick.
on some sick teams after being on bait.
It just didn't work out like as a whole, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
Yeah, that's life, not everything does. I mean, I feel bad for what Dendy's trying not how do I say this in like a way that doesn't make it sound like I'm shitting on everybody. I feel bad because like no matter what people whatever they do, they're gonna get shit on in some ways.
Mhm.
Because like it's easy to want to shit on Dendy to be like a contrarian, like laugh at their like failure or whatever. But this guy's just trying to make it. I can
Yeah.
always respect that. Maybe he hasn't had the most success, but it doesn't take away from what he did in the past. I think that's something people forget a lot.
I mean, he
Um,
hasn't grown bitter and given up on his dreams, you know? He's
yeah,
still
like
out there trying to achieve it.
who the fuck am I or anybody in this world to tell somebody to give up on their dreams? Like society does that so frequently. Like everybody around you tells you that you can't do shit. Go out there and like get into meth. I mean, I'm just kidding, but
You know
like if
what's
he wants
funny?
to just play Dota like for a living and he's been doing it his entire life, like and he doesn't want to like stop, then
Yeah,
imagine if Seb had listened to every single person that told him he sucked ass. I'm
yeah.
sure I was one of them. But look at him now. We're all fucking clowns. Or it's like, there's a lot of fucking people I'm sure that have been told at some point to give up on their dreams and I just want to wish them the best. I mean, I fucking hope they just own and they're just like sick team. I hope they just dumpster everybody. Like, fuck
What's
you.
funny about that is is I feel like Arkash's sales pitch is exactly that. Give up on your dreams. Time to move on to something else, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are fucking like
It's
y'all
like
are y'all are
there's
predatory.
there's so many players who are like, ah, yeah, like maybe I will do Arkosh, you know, and then they end up like, nah, I'm still gonna pursue my dreams, and we're over there like, fuck your dreams, god damn it, give up on your pro playing career and start settling into being a streamer.
Who else are you guys with? Like Febby and stuff?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love I love Fabito. I really do.
he's a funny guy. He's a
I mean,
interesting person for sure.
Febby is like
That'd be
he's a
tough.
king. I think he's so fucking funny. He's so fucking funny. Like 10 out of 10 personality.
Great for
But yeah.
Arkosh.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're so lucky to get Febby. He's the fucking best.
You got
He's the
anything
fucking
else to
best.
say about Liquid?
Um, I mean, I just, they're great. What else can I say? This is another
Okay.
sales pitch. It's a public
Yeah,
sales
yeah,
pitch.
yeah, yeah.
So then in like 8 months when the next guy retires for whatever fucking reason, I have to like find somebody new. That made it sound like Matu's reasons for quitting were arbitrary, by the way. I don't mean to portray it
Mm,
as such. I'm just messing around. But, you just gotta always it's like I'm always on the hunt. I just have
sure.
to be. It's not because I want to like replace any of my players. That is gonna get like misconstrued easily. But I just think genuinely part of the job is to always like keep an eye out and look. Having a
Yeah, I get it. I
conversation
get
about a
it.
player is like a completely normal thing.
And so next year, when you Mickey retires, and you need to replace Boxy, or you pick up Rezo and Zions from Team Secret, I get it. I understand.
That would be
Mhm.
so fucking funny, wouldn't it? That would really just be that would maybe that's my new like game plan. Just to like get one full secret roster. I'll tell like Mickey and Aiden and Boxy like, yo, I'm sorry, but for the memes, you know.
Just take everybody else from Secret. Secret picked up Boom to replace their loss of Nisha. Who I,
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of people memeing about Thompson going over to that roster, and obviously, like that was probably a name that came to mind for many people because how many like really truly great mid laners are there out there available.
hmm
So I think everybody thought of Thompson, but Boom is instead their pickup. How do you feel
Yes,
like
sir.
that's gonna go over for them?
Um, I think Boom is super talented. I think he actually will surprise a lot of people. And I'm not just saying that to like say that. I think that genuinely he's a really good player. I think that that team, like Puppy, will make people good. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like Puppy's
Yeah.
really gonna make people. he's gonna force you to be a fucking good player. You know so much about the game. At some point, you have to think like it's not a coincidence anymore. This guy did it with two completely, like 18 completely different rosters. I really can't think of another person that is made do with as many people as you can.
Yeah, if you look back through Puppy's history of like some of his past teammates, I think it's particularly impressive. Yeah, like sure, there are some players who, like hopefully for your guys' sake, Nisha, who goes on and like still looks sick, but there are just as many players who I think were on that secret roster who did play with Puppy and went on and did not have nearly the same kind of success,
Yeah,
even
I
though they
mean,
look super good on secret.
I just think that they've probably got a really good formula, aka Puppy's really fucking smart, and they kind of just figure it out. Like if I had to
Yeah.
guess, that's how. Like, I don't really have too much insight into their process aside from what Zai and all of them tell me, but I was just told this guy's a genius. He always figures shit out. Like, so I'm sure it's gonna be fine for them. No copium. Just not trying to make myself feel better. Oh God, but
I mean, Western Europe does look pretty scary. OG picked up DM, who I think, I'm not going to say I have no idea the difference between ATF and DM, but I don't feel like that's a downgrade in any way.
mhm.
DM's really sick, and ATF is maybe in a better position for him personally, going from off lane to carry for Nigma. So, I mean, that's looking pretty scary out there as well if Nigma gets back into like full form again.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Nigma is I feel like they should have made a change like this a while ago.
Okay.
And I don't mean to say like Miracle's obviously one of the best, if not like the best mechanical talent we've had in like it's got to be like between him and like Nisha for me.
Mhm.
But at some point, a team just has to have some greater change. I don't even know if Miracle was the player to go or anything like that. It's nothing to do with him. It's just I feel like for whatever reason that team just needed to remix things a little bit. And now that they are, I think they're gonna see a lot of success. I think they're potentially on the up and up. Liquid stonks or
Mm.
not liquid. God, I still do that myself. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Nigma stonks high. I think people like to shit on
yeah.
ATF. They're like, "Yeah, he's such a toxic guy," but like, come on, man, just give him a fucking chance. Like, let's see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine.
That
Don't lose your
I
mind.
wonder if you were talking about how Dota teams just need a change. And if I recall, that was kind of what Kuro said
When they kicked Matu,
when they kicked Matu, right? He said like
yeah,
it wasn't necessarily like Matu was at fault. They just needed a change of some sort. And then they did hold on to this latest roster like for a really long time. So I wonder if like in some ways that Matu kick resulted in them holding on, like Kuro holding on to his team.
mm,
You
I see
know,
what you mean. Kind of
like
just like,
he
oh
kicks
well,
Matu, he sees
we
Matu
don't want
go
to
on
give
and
up
have
on
great
people too
success.
quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. That makes sense.
But yeah, I think you're right, and I think we've seen that throughout Dota's history. Is that like change can? Yeah, I mean, you just got to shake up a team sometime. Different dynamics, different ideas get brought to the table. You
Yeah,
can't
you have
afford
no
for,
idea.
especially in Dota evolves meta wise, right? You can't afford to be stagnant.
Of course, of course. And there's genuinely, we have no idea how any of this stuff will go. This is just speculation. You have no fucking idea what the teams are going to look like or how they're going to play or anything.
Yeah.
So if you're a casual fan, I understand. Like you're disappointed, and maybe on paper, your favorite roster didn't like look exactly how you expected it to. But at the same time, like give people a chance. Really let them find their own ground and their own footing and stuff like that. It's like the only way that people can really succeed is if you like allow them to make their mistakes, do all their shit, see what happens. Maybe they'll really surprise you. This Nigma roster has a lot of potential. Who's to say that they can't just like pug off?
Yeah.
So in that way, like I wish people sometimes were a little bit more patient, just because you have no idea how the ATF move will go. You have no idea how the boom move will go. Maybe this like Nisha move is like the worst thing ever. I don't think it'll be obviously. I think he's a fucking great player, but at the same time, I genuinely have no idea. And to pretend like I do is it's a lie. It's a blatant lie.
One
I'm
interesting
obviously
note.
hoping for the best, but no fucking clue.
for you guys specifically in that liquid change, and I think I mentioned this to you that Matu was like a big voice for you guys, right? Like he was very much a captain, a leading person. So in some ways, that does leave you because as far as I understand, Isha is not that. In fact, he's pretty much the opposite from what I've heard, and that he's
No,
more of a
word dog.
quieter
He's
player.
the loudest person I know. I played a bunch of CS:GO with him.
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
like if you had just followed my Twitter follows, you would have seen that I just decided to casually follow him like
Mm.
a few days before we picked him up, and that should have kind of tipped people off to the fact that of what we were probably trying to do, if
All
I'm
right.
honest.
All right. Well,
So
there you go, you guys who listen to this podcast.
in that
Next
regard, like
year, when Blitz is searching for new players.
actually we kind of fucked up in general because like a bunch of I invited him to play CS:GO with a bunch of people on our Rocket League team as well, and then they all were like, "Oh, who's that guy?" And I was like, "Oh, that guy's like our new player." And then they all decided to follow him
Uh,
on Twitter at once. So when I clicked his name, I saw like 8 people following him, and they were all like fucking Liquid Rocket League players and shit. And I was like, "God damn it, motherfuckers!" But no one ever checks for that shit, so it's not like it
yeah, that's
matters.
true.
It's like it's not like that stuff ever leaks out in any meaningful way, and people aren't that nerdy. It's not like NBA where people are tracking people's planes and where their jets are going and shit. Like, but yeah, if you wanted to know early, you probably could have just seen that shit, and you would have farmed a lot of karma. But fortunately, people aren't that try hard in the Dota scene.
You want to talk about any of the other regions? I mean, I don't know how much you uh, have an opinion, I guess, on like Southeast Asia or China.
And what else is there? Like SA and stuff.
Yep. I
Um,
mean,
no, I mean, I just think like I hope China gets their shit together because it's fun. Dota's really fun when not like that. There's like an East versus West thing, but in general, it is just more fun when China's competitive. It's like fun to see good Chinese teams do well. Same with Southeast Asia. I'd really like to see a C team win TI. I hope it's like
yeah.
not the same year that we're trying to compete, but like you know, I really want to see a C team do really well at a TI. I think that would just be good for the game in general. C or South America. I felt bad. Thunder really deserved to beat our asses.
Yeah, I was definitely griping, and I know other people shared the sentiment that this TI not cool, guys, not cool. Western Europe just dominating the top three. Like you want to have some region versus region battles going on. It's just Western Europe,
Absolutely.
Western Europe, Western Europe. You know.
I
So,
had to remake a Reddit account recently, and the
uh
first
huh.
thing I did was I tried disproving just wrong things, and then I realized I was getting back into the fucking circle of it, and then I just deleted it again, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. I can't. I saw so many factually wrong things, and then I just said, it's not my fucking job to correct people. Like I don't I don't care.
Mm.
I just I saw some like comment that said that we offered Nisha 45,000, and he was telling everybody that like let me just tell you, I'm not gonna confirm any numbers, but we didn't offer him fucking 45,000 a month. Like
I was
that
like,
was
wait. I was like,
insane.
wait. Is that a signing bonus?
I
$45,000
have
a
no
month.
idea where the
Wow,
fuck
Dota
people
is.
get these numbers. And then I saw somebody say that like I commented that Secret haven't used Matu well, and somebody was like, and I can't stand that kind of arrogance. I was like, do you not know what sarcasm is? Like, I obviously think they use Matu well. Like, what? You think I'm like the stupidest fucking least aware person? I obviously said that as a jest. I'm gonna say this as a jest again, and I'll read about it in a year. Okay, I'm gonna say like, Secret really just didn't utilize Nisha well. But Team Liquid, we're the paragons of stability.
Yeah,
So
got him.
it's like, and then in a year I'm gonna read this comment. Somebody's gonna post it to me and say, "Is that true? You said that?" I was like, "Yeah, I said that. I'm gonna own it.
Imagine the
I'm gonna
arrogance of
own it.
calling yourself the paragons of stability.
Yeah, we're the best. We never lost anything in my mind. In my mind, like we won this TI. Fucking like you're talking to a TI winner, Skeeter who. Obviously, I don't think that. Obviously, I think fucking Secret and Matu were great together. Like you're on crack, brother. Like I just wish sometimes people would blame Nisha more for leaving and not. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck Nisha. How dare he stab Puppy in the back like that?
No, it's like I don't know. Just people are so dramatic. Just sometimes people want different things. It's not that deep. There's really not much more to it. I mean, Nisha seems like a good kid though. I hope Matu really fucking was like, this is the guy. He said some
Yeah,
like
he
real
pushed for
anime.
Nisha, huh?
Yeah, he said some real anime movie shit. Cause what ended up happening. I mean, I'll tell you like the entire process is about 6 months ago. I was like, we're gonna really have to start looking for your replacement. Cause I really don't want it. We were in a bit of a, how do I say it? Not lucky, but unique situation in that we knew for sure somebody was going. Oftentimes when you do this, it's toxic as fuck. It's like
Yeah.
you're just being a dickhead. You're just being a bad person. But in this case, like we all knew what was happening, and we're like, hey, we should plan for like your eventual, retirement because it's coming. I
Yeah.
know you're not going to change your mind. I know this is what you're going to do. So help me find, who we want, so that we're not just blindsided.
Hmm.
And he was just like, okay. And then he gave us a few names. We threw around a few options. Let's say like Thompson was one. Let's say Babevsky was one. Um
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay to
then let's
see that.
say Nisha was one. And
Okay.
then yeah, I mean Artur is loyal to death, so he'll never leave, even despite the fact that we're friends. Like I think I I don't know if I'm supposed to repeat this, but I would like to because I thought it was a really sweet sentiment. I remember I went out to like a dinner with a bunch of people in Crit on one of the days off or something like that,
Yeah.
and he pretty much was like, you know, I really love Artur. Like wherever he goes, I'm like, I'd be perfectly fine playing, the rest of my career with him.
Wow.
He was just like, I'm really good with this guy.
I
And
mean,
I
I'm
think
not gonna
the
lie. I
two of
feel
them,
kind of bad because I was with there with every other redditor that wanted to see that roster blown up, just because I thought it would make things a lot more interesting to see
for
players
sure,
in a different light. But
for
now
sure.
I feel
I
a
just
little
think,
bad for thinking of that.
yeah, I mean, sometimes like I think they really believe in each other, and that's sweet. I really respect it. In some ways, like I was telling Artur, man, you really want to run this shit again? Like same exact thing. Kick the
Yeah.
offlaner. I think your offlaner's like defense against the dark arts teacher. Just
They really do have a Harry Potter theme going on there, huh?
yeah, but if they want to run it like that, and if they end up winning like that, how sweet would that be?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Damian Lillard in Portland. I don't think they're gonna do it. Portland, that is, but like I have all the respect in the world for Damian Lillard for trying. And
Yeah.
if Artur accomplishes this with this roster, like I think it's gonna be with Bulba and everything. I think it'll be really sweet relief for him. It'll
I
be
mean,
like it'll feel like a better win because there's like there's types of wins that probably feel really fucking good. You know, I'm sure Spirit felt amazing last year, whereas Thunder was like, fuck, we only won like 7 mil. But I'm sure with this roster, if they did it and kind of proved all the haters wrong, and they can do it, they're really fucking talented.
yeah, for sure.
So it's not like there's anything wrong. It's just they're probably the barrier between being really good and really bad at this level is really fucking small. As evidenced by our TI run and Secret's TI run. I mean, TI Secret had an even worse year than we did by far.
Hmm.
And like, we went to every single major. I mean, we don't have to talk about how we did, but we were
Yeah.
there. We made
Good
it to every
attend.
single one.
Got the
So it's
attendance
like,
award.
yeah, and then like the difference between really good and really bad in this scene is so fucking small. It's like it's infinitesimal. So I don't judge people. I'm sure making declarative statements like Skeeter can never be a TI champion. Look at him, he's so trash, or anything like that is just wrong. Or like think about Snaking, been on like 40 fucking teams.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Look at look at him now.
that guy's story is one of triumph in the face of just failure after failure in many ways. And
Yeah,
he went through
I
so many squads, and then
so
he
I
came
mean,
over to Europe, and
who are we to tell anybody who's good, who's bad? It's all make believe, anyways. Players will make their own like history and some fucking bullshit along those lines, anyways. Just I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, this guy's trash. Like who knows?
yeah,
Who fucking knows? So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna take it as is. I think Artur can succeed. But anyways, that was a really fucking long-winded way to get back to this part, which is
Yeah, what
that
was the anime speech about Nisha, right?
oh yeah, he was kind of just like, you know what? If you because he said, "What do you want out of a player?" I was like, "I want somebody really fucking good." Like, I mean, I think I know Artur is really good, and I think I know Thompson's really good, but like, obviously Matu has the best insight because he's playing against these guys, and he was like, "If if you're looking for skill, there will truly be nobody more skilled than Nisha." I was like, "Okay, dude,"
Damn.
like, so I was like, "All right, well, that makes that decision somewhat easy." And then after TI, I asked Lase again. I had a conversation with him because we were finally kind of able to talk frankly, and he's like, "Same answer." Like, okay.
Mm.
I will tell you, God, can I say this? Actually, I can say this. Okay. Um, at the after party, at the TI after party. Okay,
Yeah.
this is when I first had a conversation with Nisha. I was like, "Hey, man," I, he was like he was in the what is that section? Like the TI winners had like a separate section, and
Okay. Yeah,
they
yeah.
were everybody was drinking, everyone was hanging out and stuff like that. I came up to him. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Just wanted to, because I'd never talked to him like in person before or anything like that. So I was like, "Hey, I'm Blitz." He's like, "Yeah, of course." And I was like, just hard to like, sucks, man." And then we were kind of talking about, I was like, "So what are your plans next year?" And then Toronto Tokyo comes in, and he's like, "What's the main point here?" He's fucking drunk. And we haven't even like said like 3 words, and we're like, no, we're talking. We just like said we're talking about the weather or something. And then
Okay.
he's like, okay. And then he ordered us like vodka with no like vodka and ice, and he said we had to shot it. And then we shot it so that he calms down. He goes back on his phone. Me and Nisha start talking for another 20 seconds, and then he comes back and says the same thing. He's like, "What's the main point here, guys?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And I don't know this guy at all, so I was just like, we're just talking. And he's like, "What's the main point?" And he's so fucking drunk. I was like, I don't know what to say here, man. And we're just staring at each other. And then he goes back on his phone, and somehow in the next 40 seconds that I don't even know, he gets the waitress's attention, and they get us another round. So at this point, I'm really fucking hammered, and I've got to fly at 6 a.m. And I really
Uh-huh.
didn't want to drink, but I'm being peer pressured, so I was like, fuck it, why not? Uh, and then this goes on. I'm not even kidding. Like 4 or 5 more times, to the point where I just can't have any more vodka. Like I'm gonna throw up. So I
Mhm.
just give up on my conversation with Nisha. I was like, I got to the point of maybe saying like, "Hey man, sorry to hear that. Just it's all good." And then yeah, that's about all. So then I didn't even get to really know what was going on there because Toronto Tokyo just blew up my spot. So he made life 18 times harder than it had to be.
I mean, Toronto Tokyo's out there just trying to, sabotage, make sure you guys don't get Nisha. Maybe he wanted to pick him
Absolutely.
up.
Motherfucker got me. He really got me. He was so drunk. I was like, but he really got my ass. Then he posted like an Instagram story with us, and then he immediately deleted it for some reason. It was a real roller coaster of events. Shit was kind of just popping off left and right. He was a loose cannon, let's say.
Mm. I mean, he seems like quite the character, especially since he was. I mean, I feel like he was pretty well regarded, and not necessarily like held to say a niche or maybe like Thompson or something like that level, but very highly regarded mid laner. And then he just goes, and now he's going to be captaining a team.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's really smart, and I think it might work. To be honest, we had a conversation with him, um, where he said he wanted to join in draft, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and it was interesting for sure. I would say that our percentage of it being done maybe was even higher than Thompson at one point before Nisha finally replied and was like, run it. So, I mean, with Nisha, it wasn't really laid on thick. It was kind of just gave him a general sales pitch. He was like, all right, sounds good. Said he was down almost immediately. Then, oh, and then we just had to like work out some contract stuff
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was fine.
Typical.
Yeah. So sorry for the fans that had to wait till like the last second. I think like everybody and their mother accidentally spoiled it though. King.
Yeah, I mean, Joey talked about that as well on the podcast. How you guys apparently there was no plan to do a video at first, so he came back from vacation was like, no, we need to do a video. That is very important, guys. You don't want to be an EG here.
Yeah, it's just XD, but I mean that was crazy.
I mean, everything to tack on to what you said about him being really smart. I remember there was an interview with Mira, and he talked about how much Toronto Tokyo helped him with his growth as a player. He said Toronto Tokyo would go with him through replays and give him a lot of advice and stuff like that. So he definitely seems like the kind of person who would be a good captain. It's just surprising to see somebody make that swerve like so quickly, I guess. Like normally you
Mhm.
have like this fall from grace from your position, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna, phoenix this. I'm gonna come back and rise from the ashes and become a captain, be sick. But yeah, he just kind of like just made that dive straight.
I think that he's going to be a great captain. Actually, I think he's got a lot of good ideas, and he seems pretty forceful about them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that team is going to be funny as shit to watch. To be honest, I think they're. I echo everybody else's sentiments. I think they're either going to like immediately tilt, or they're going to be like the best team ever.
Yeah.
They're just going to shit stomp everybody. If the ball gets rolling on that team, they're really going to get fucking rolling. And they'll be scary to play in finals.
Yeah,
That's
Eastern Europe
genuinely a team
hasn't
that's
had
just gonna be like, oh fuck.
they haven't had a dominant roster since the last VP that was owning the seasons, but not TI.
Yeah, I mean, you think if those guys could go back in time and like redo that, all of them would? They'd be like, we'll just suck up. We'll just suck it up. Maybe we don't win a TI, but we win everything else and we get top 8,
Yeah,
top
yeah, yeah.
12. Like, at least we're getting to TIs, guys. It's looking like let's just run it. I
Wow.
bet they say yes.
I mean, do you think no one would say yes? He's on that new old G roster, which I said this, and then I immediately went on Reddit, and I saw the same sentiment being echoed, which was that like I don't really believe that this is for funsy team. I think they're doing the OG thing, which is you know chilling out for
Did
the
they say it
year.
was a for funzy thing?
They said something to that regard. That this is not going to be some try hard roster or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But I'm
Okay.
definitely expecting those guys to be very competitive by the end of the year. Maybe not the
Yeah,
start of the year, but by
fucking
the end of the
cap.
year?
It's like you're just bullshitting. And I love Seb and all those guys, even though they fucking leaked our thing on their podcast. But I really,
JMR's whole, well, I don't want to leak anything here, but
yeah, the
Nisha's going to
motherfucker
liquid.
leaked it. You know what I should have done? I should have
I
then gone
laughed
on your
so hard when I
podcast.
said that.
I should have gone on your pod. I should have been emergency podcast. Then the first thing I say, yo, I don't want to leak anything, but I heard a roster with Thompson, MSS, because I knew that shit was happening. Because it's just
Yeah, yeah.
general knowledge at some point in the pro scene. You trade information and you find out what's going on, and I knew that was gonna happen. And it wasn't like I was like, fucking, let's fucking run it. Like let me just tell you guys real quick what's going on. I don't. I mean, they immediately apologized. They were like, JMR sent a really nice message. He was like, "Yo, my fucking bad. Is there anything we can do to like make this better?" And we are like, "Hey, man, it's all good." It was a very good, very very good, sweet message. If that makes
That's nice.
sense. Like
Yeah,
he really tried to make it okay.
yeah.
So that's really nice of him. It was I think it was a genuine, honest mistake that they put into their that they just kind of forgot. Um,
But if it happens again, we'll drop the podcast that is just
oh,
10
for
seconds
sure. If
long. That is.
All right, motherfucker. If JMR, this is a public threat, motherfucker. You drop our roster again. The next time I'm loading up the emergency thing, I'm leaking all your future rosters. The second I hear it, I'm just gonna put out a tweet in podcast form and be like, "Yo, I heard this OG roster." That's that's social media beef. It's like
Nice. We need more
I got
rivalries.
your ass. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if they leak our shit, we'll start our own podcast leaking stuff. I will be the Boba of podcasts. You know.
There he goes. Oh shit.
Nah, but cool guy.
Yeah. All right. Well,
What?
I mean, I don't really think there's a whole lot else to talk about. Obviously, there are tons of other rosters. I just don't know if you really have an opinion on them.
I
Like
don't
just
really.
the big ones are
I don't know enough about other regions,
yeah.
so I don't want to comment on them without any, further history or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I just think, I hope all the best to Enigma. I think they might be a pretty mean team to play against. I just think Europe sucks to play in, man. Every team fucking good. It's so annoying.
I mean, Liquid does have a North American office. It's in Los Angeles. I mean, I'm just saying, you can pull a
Markosh,
bait.
I'll see you in corner. It's like I will fight you, Arkosh, for that last spot. Are you kidding me? You're telling me like my
Yeah,
options are I have to play against like let me just go look up like NA
but you could live in
DPC.
LA again.
Let me just look this shit up. I want to. I'm North American, so I get to do this. I can just shit on.
Sure, sure.
Okay, let's see. Okay,
We
so Shopify, legit team.
uh-huh.
TSM, you know, good team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thuith Gaming, I have no idea. They've got budget 9.
Yeah, yeah. They've
They've
got
got
Napkin
9.
on their roster.
Do they really?
They do. It's also we were also in talks about buying a Div 1 slot. Uh, we did not get it. It got beat out by Napkin,
Really?
unfortunately.
Are they
Yeah.
just sponsored by like big money?
I do not know. I have no idea who these guys are.
Huh.
Thuth.
That's the worst name I've ever heard in my entire life. It sounds like a guy with a list trying to say Zeus.
Yeah, it's not great.
Can you imagine like if they went really far at like a LAN, what do you chant? Thuth, Thuth,
Thuth.
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 It's terrible.
Are
You
we
got to
even
think
saying
about
it
that.
correctly? I mean, it's one of those words that just like
It might be wrong. It has to be wrong. There's no way. Anyways, just XD napkin. There's bait, 5 red 4 staff, alpha nouns, wild card. Come on, man. We could. I'm not even one of those NA haters. I think there's some good teams there, but like, what we're gonna have to play against is like it's fucking miserable. It's Tundra, TI winners, Secret, TI second place, Gaming Gladiators, those guys fucking own. OG, top 3 team last year for the most part. Entity, one of like the biggest surgers ever. Nigma Galaxy, Curl might finally pull it off and just fuck us. ITB, who almost beat Secret to knock them out of even making it to wildcards. Like you're telling me that's my competition? Doesn't sound fun, does it? And then
no.
in
But if
Division
you want to
2,
win TI,
I mean in Division 2 there's Ancient Tribe, some pretty good players on there. There's Bald. Those guys knocked out Alliance last year.
true. There's
Alliance.
actual alliance, yeah.
There's actual. I don't think that Alliance squad is getting knocked out by Bold.
No.
If that happens, I'm gonna send Gork like the hypest message. We're not even friends. In fact, we had not talked until this TI. He was actually quite friendly, but if he knocks out Alliance, it would be so funny. I'm not even just saying that to be a hater. It'd just be like, I saw his stream when they beat him, and he's like, and then Alliance tweeted or something. He's like, Alliance, didn't I kill that roster? I was like, what the fuck, dude? You're really feeling yourself.
Hey, wait, I see that we is actually on the roster. I did see that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he said something that like that on stream. So is he actually going to be playing with Bald?
I suppose. I mean, he hasn't said
I
no,
mean
and
that
he is listed on the roster. So I would imagine that means he is on the roster. I can't
shit.
think of anything else that means.
That means we is done playing too in some ways.
No, I think we is still trying to play. This might just be like a holdover
Just
until
like
he gets a different situation. I mean, Weeha's
sure.
one of those weird situations where I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves despite the amount of success that he's had.
Yeah.
And then somebody picks him up, he does really well, and then he just kind of goes back down again. It's really weird. It's like
Yeah.
nobody gives him credit for how well his teams have done, if that makes sense. It's almost like he's the afterthought. He got top 2 at DC on a roster that had no business being top 2. He replaced Matu, one of the greatest of all time. They got top two, a pretty stacked TI, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like nobody really talks about him in terms of. It's kind of just like,
Yeah,
it's
he
weird.
just becomes a meme.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
First place Shanghai
Considering,
Major, second place Frankfurt Major, third, fourth Boston Major, second place Epicenter Major. I mean, that's all. That's a lot
yes,
of major
that's a
appearances.
lot of fucking history. Like, it's crazy actually. It's absolutely weird. I feel like
Last
that's
placement he had was first when he was still on Nigma. We play Dota 2 Tug of War Mad Moon.
oh, that's wild.
That was well over 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Dota memory is short.
It is. People forget, I suppose.
Yeah, people just think you're washed. More than a year goes by without some sort of success, you're washed.
Yeah. All right. I think that is what it is.
Okay. Nothing else you want to talk about?
No, not really. Just
All right.
now we won't do this for if we win a TI or not TI. If we win a major or we do really well, I might be on it again.
Yeah. That's what I always say is like, after the major, I'll hit up Blitz. And then you guys suck ass, and then I don't really want to ask you because it's like kind of, hey, buddy, do you want to talk about how you guys got blasted out of the group stage and didn't even make playoffs?
I mean, the thing
Super
is,
fun conversation.
I'm also just waiting for the long game. If
Yeah.
if the regular season goes poorly, that's life.
Mhm.
That's just kind of how it is. I think I'm gonna take a long term view towards things. Everyone's if we lose in the early on in the season, who gives a fuck? Like I'm here for what comes after. Our team obviously needs a little bit of time to like fucking get good.
All right, so you warning all the Liquid fans out there.
No, but I
You
just think
guys
like
may suck ass the first
people have
season.
such weird expectations, I would say. Let's
Mm.
say that if you're not immediately good within like 10 seconds, people are pretty harsh. You know how it is. It's kind of just like, "Oh, I knew this lineup would be fucking dog shit after like one tournament." That's gonna
You know
happen
what? You
after
know what
like
the
one
comment is?
tournament.
It's always the same one. I almost responded to somebody today. Just it had nothing to do with me or anything that I care about. It was just always the same start. I was downvoted for saying this in a different thread. They
Yeah,
always
dude.
have to say that. It's like they got this chip on their shoulder that they said something and it got downvoted, and now they're being proven right.
Shit, man. I do that all the time in the NFL subreddit, so I really can't talk shit about people that do that. You know what it is? Is that people just want to talk like as if they know something. I do it all the time, even though I know nothing about the NBA or NFL at a pro
Or
level.
Dota, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm Kevin Durant. I'm just posting whenever somebody posts some dumb shit. I want to say you're a fucking idiot on a burner account, but then I don't do that because I'm not even making millions, Kevin, and I can get over it. I just
How's your
you
fantasy
just
football
live life.
doing?
All right, my fantasy football team is lit. I play against Merlini next week
Mm-hmm.
for the I'm in playoffs right now. I
Okay.
snuck in. I barely snuck in.
All right. Good work.
First in our league is like Kyle's like landlord or something who's just hosing us. Second is
Okay.
this guy, Joe,
Yeah.
the guy who works at Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Then third is Ben. Then fourth is Kyle. Then fifth is Knox. And sixth place, barely sneaking in, is myself.
Good work. Who is
Yeah.
there any punishment in your league for the losers?
No, and I think that the person who got last would absolutely not accept a punishment this year. He wasn't super happy about how this season went.
Did that person quit the league
That
midway
person
through?
absolutely quit the league.
Yeah, I heard about this story.
There was a huge There was a huge buy-in too. You know that? Like
How
it
much
was
was the
not a small
buy-in?
buy. It was $250 per person.
And they just quit halfway
They
through.
just quit out of like solidarity. By the
So
way, people in Dota, you know this person. It can only be one person. No, they're still playing this season, but they're last and let me just say they've stopped posting. They're not happy
uh,
about certain dynamics that happened in our group.
Shit. Now I'm kind of sad I stopped. I
Oh
would have
wait,
wanted to see that.
he left
Wait.
our Discord.
Oh, oh no, he's real done. He's
I
done.
mean, I have no idea what to say. It was such a. You know what? I'm not gonna. It's all good. I love the guy. I wish it wasn't this serious. It's fucking fantasy football. It doesn't matter. I would pay him back his buyout if he's that like upset about it. But I also know he's gonna tell me some shit about principle.
All right. Well, on that, I think that's a good note to end on. We'll see you guys either in like 2 or 3 months after the major
Yeah, when we
or
get bodied.
after the next TI. All depending on how well Liquid Dota does.
Let's go.